In the last episode, we were talking about file permissions. I wanted to extend that discussion into this episode a bit. If you'll recall, we have 3 sets of permissions here. That's for everybody that's on the box. This is for everybody that's in my group, and then this is the permissions for myself. So we're going to copy this hello text file into a directory where everyone can actually get to it, because it's in my home directory right now, and it's locked down pretty tightly. So we use the cp command for copy. The -p flag tells it to preserve the permissions. If you don't do that, then depending on the permissions set on the directory you're copying to, and UMask and a couple other settings, the file permissions could change. On this particular box, actually what it'll do is it'll change the permissions to look more like that if I copy it without the -p. So we'll tell it to copy it to /temp. I have 2 ways of doing this with a copy command. If I simply specify a directory as my target, which I've done with /temp, then it will copy the file, and the default file name in the new directory will be the same as the source here. Or if I want to, I can explicitly tell it to do hello.txt, or I could even name it something new like hello2.txt. So now let's go into the temp directory and take a look. There we go. So we've got a file that everybody on the box can get to. So we want to set the sticky bit on this, and the purpose for the sticky bit is to keep other users that have permissions to modify this file from actually being able to remove it. It can also help when scripts are involved, if you keep files from being accidentally removed. So 1.7.5.777, excuse me, 2.txt. And if we take a look at it, we'll notice something new this time. Now we have the T at the end, which tells us the sticky bit is set. And to prove that this works, I'm going to change users. setuid is a very handy utility for allowing, especially if you own the box, to do things as other users, usually root, but without the damage of running as root all the time. So what this allows me to do is to switch users. It's going to ask me for my password. And then I'm going to go into the temp directory. I'm going to modify the text file because I've got permissions. Use the cat command to display the contents of the file. Show you that it really did change. And now let's try to remove it. Permission denied. And that's exactly what I should see because we've got the -t at the end of it. Okay, now for the next part of it, for the set GID. So I have this little C program here, and we do 755 print ID. I'm able to change the mode. Oh, that's because I'm the wrong user. So let's go ahead and switch back. We're in temp, chmod 755 print ID, which is actually good. It shows you that the permissions are working as they're supposed to be. Print ID. And so in this case, of course, everybody on the box can run this command. Everybody in my group can run it, and of course I can run it. But we want to set the UID on this file. This is actually an executable program, so let's run it now. And it tells us that what our real user ID is and what our effective user ID is. The effective user ID will let you do things as other users. And so if you have a different user ID here, then you're effectively that other user. So what we want to do is chmod 4755 print ID. We take a look at it now. We'll notice that there is an S here in the user ID set of permissions. If I run it, it's going to give me exactly the same output as it did before. However, here's where the magic comes in. Let's switch to that other user again. And then let's try running it. So, my user ID is actually 502. The other user ID is 501, but since I own the file and the other user ran it, they effectively became me when they ran it. So this is a very, very dangerous thing to have laying around because of buffer overflows and things along those lines. But if this code that's inside of this is written properly to make sure that buffer overflows are impossible and things along those lines, it can be very handy to allow non-privileged users to do things on the system without having to grant them more permissions than is necessary. So I hope you've enjoyed this today, and keep an eye out. Hopefully I'll have a couple more episodes coming out in the future.